Yes.
Are we gonna try to wait for Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Are we gonna try to wait for Steve?
I've called and I didn't answer some
Okay.
Okay, looks like we are all set.
Okay, I'm gonna call the Penny Conservation Advisory Board meeting to order. Fire exits are through the room in the hallway. The handicap exit is to the right. There's an AED across the hall on the main floor. If you have a cell phone or pager, please mute them or turn them off. Cheryl, would you call me up here?
Rob Westcott,
Here.
Judy Clark,
Here.
Terry Whipple,
Here.
Scott Martin.
Here.
Okay, has everybody had a chance to read the minutes from the August 25th Conservation Board meeting? Any changes, additions?
Some good news.
Any motion to approve
I'll
minutes?
make a motion to approve the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody? And according to the reports. I was at the planning board on September 2nd. There were a couple public hearings first. The first public hearing was Hammond Building LLC, 1466 Lakeville, Westport. In addition to just existing structure, this has been brought up before, and that's why I came up with a public hearing. They want to put the addition on and connecting in addition to the existing building with a small addition. We asked if anybody was present at the public hearing, and one person who lives in close proximity to the business said he had no issues and was 100% supportive. And that was the only person who spoke about the housing. An engineer stated that he agreed that a merge would be an easy way to clean the properties because they're not two separate properties. Building seeker. We submitted an environmental assessment form and there were no issues. No one else on the board had any other concerns. So this addition, this building was approved by the second public hearing was Delamasca. Lake Road East Fork, 127 feet south of the center line of North End. He was just looking for the preliminary final single lot subdivision for the project. We'll open the public hearing. Sure how that's going to be different.
500 feet.
So that was the only person who spoke up. The engineer and that basically this public hearing is just to clean up a lot that was not legal. There's not dwelling on the property as of yet, so there's what you do at this point. There's just cleaning up the view, it's straightforward, it's an unlisted banner declaration under secret. So this was good. On the agenda, conservation corridor development permit from Loretta Richard, 5824 West Virginia Beach Road. She wanted to build a garage, 100 feet of light material, that's right, meets the conservation corridor development permit. It's in the shoreline residential district. They demolished the current boathouse and they want to erect a larger 24 by 36 single car garage in its place. One of the planning board members asked if there was going to be electricity or anything there, because there's always a concern that people possibly thinking of putting heating to their permanent residence, but they said there's no electric or water installed. It's a type 2 negative under seeker. Otherwise, there were no concerns by the board. I was a little concerned that it's blocking views to the lake, but I think there's a lot of issues on Westwood only where there's not a lot of room on any of the lots, and people want to make improvements to their lot. 23 State subdivision at 1050 German Center Road. It's just a property split to create two lots. Bring the two lots into compliance. Also on the agenda, property merge, Hamlin Development LLC, which is the first thing that I mentioned when we use a public hearing. The applicant is going to merge the two lots, which will make it a much better plan. And put the addition on, put the new building up and connect the additions, it's all on one lot. So, town engineer added that, does it all, and, there's no secret designation, and the board had no comments. So that was, there was a conservation corridor development permit on the agenda for Eric Estes, 7858 Newport Drive. Which around part of the house that's, the southern part of the house, and the northern part of the house, which is close to the lake, is on wooden piers and it's settling, so he's looking to replace it all with rock. And the only concern the engineer had is that it has to be open, it can't be completely closed in because flood waters have to pass through it. Easy. Steve is not here to report on Fishing Advisory Board or on PMC. So I'm going to go back to Bob.
The last town board meeting I was at, there's been a lot of discussion regarding the issuance of permits for solar, and the town passed local law number 4 and dash 2024, which is set to expire a year from now, which is a moratorium on solar energy systems. So, but that's been a big thing that's been floating around for quite a while. Did have one other thing I was going to mention. I guess a couple things. I noticed that in the meeting, there's been some talks too about EMTs and first responders getting a break in school taxes. And I guess Rockport School accepted that. So they get 10% break on those, which is nice. And then the only other thing is we're in budget season, so everybody's dealing with budgets. A lot of talk in the last meeting about budgets and setting times.
And that's what's happening tonight.
And that's what's happening tonight.
And I remember when our town board liaison was here, you mentioned about the hometown heroes banners going up, and I've seen some of those posted on. Yeah, zoning board.
Zoning board had 3 public hearings scheduled. The first one was Healing Hearts with Horses to increase the number of horses they can have on their property from 6 to 10, and that was approved.
And that's located.
I do not have an
I think it's on Brick Schoolhouse, right?
address. I believe it's on
3022.
3022 by Schoolhouse.
Okay.
And then 7884 Newco Drive, there was a further discussion about the request for the large full-style barn to be put up. There were a number of neighbors who came to discuss the comment is a public hearing along with at least one write-in. And there were several concerns about that. It was suggested that they get referred to the planning board, and they either are going to the planning board or they may end up dropping that altogether. It sounds like they are
What was,
dropping
what
it.
was the consensus of the public, were they for it or against it, or just concerned?
A mix. So then there's some neighbors that have a lot of concern and say that, you know, if this is to move forward, we'd like our concerns addressed. It's gonna cover 18.6% of the property, so there's a runoff concern, there's already issues. The site survey says that there's poor drainage in the area already, and there's standing water in the spring. So there tends to be a little bit of flooding over there. The culverts don't drain well. The town did go through this year and clean up the culverts on the Neutral Drive side of these properties, but on the, not Sand Creek, the Parkway side of these properties, those culverts are not maintained. So there's a lot of issues with drainage because of the lack of maintenance on the culverts. And these issues cause the neighbors on both sides to have a little bit of hesitancy. On one side, they are far more in favor of it, with fewer concerns than on the other side, and then further down the street as well, there were some comments. So there was a lot of discussion about that, and it seems like they may not be moving forward with that. So there was, that discussion was tabled, and they were referred to the planning board. I don't know if it's something they will go to the planning board, we'll just put that off for now. The last public hearing was for 153 Hamlin Center Road. They need an easement, or they need a variance for their setback so that they can erect a storage barn. And it's the only place they can put it because of the leach field. The neighbor did speak in favor of that, and that was approved by the zoning board.
Okay, thank you. Everybody good with their sign?
That's fine.
I have several things to report on about Hammond Beach, and the Friends of Hammond Beach. The Area 1 restoration project continues to be ahead of schedule, and it's still on track to be open in the spring of 2026. And last month, somebody had asked about Yankee Marsh, but Yankee Marsh is now out for bid. So, some people had asked me if they had started yet, and apparently now it's out for bid. The Area 4 plan. Not very good. And they're gonna put pavement markings on it in the spring. The members of the birding group of the Friends reported in the bird report that and so far, the count is 55 bluebird. Community work around the community, and a bus over person came to the Hammond Beach and participated in the beach group. They've done that for a couple of years now. The Friends of Hammond Beach are hosting 2 events in October. The first one is hosted by the Friends, but it's put on by DEC and Parks and Trade. Sign up, the volunteers can sign up, they can do trail work, they can build wood duck or bat boxes, trees and every species. And the environmental educator is going to be offering an educational program as well. So I've included the address, the email. The second event that's coming up on October 11th from 8 to 1 in Area 4, traditional storyteller and cultural educator Barry Brown will speak about the indigenous people of New York State in a presentation called People of the Longhouse. This is a free program, but there is park admission because it's a holiday weekend. And I think in addition to that weekend being like Columbus weekend, I think it's also Indigenous Peoples Day or something that shows up on the calendar. So I've heard that he's a very dynamic storyteller, so that's happening now. Is there anything in the chat? No. Okay. Open up the Hamlin Waterfront Advisory Committee. I did 2 referrals. The first one was the Schoolhouse Road. The homeowner wants to put up a fence. It lives near Sandy Creek, but the fence is not near Sandy Creek. It's different. The other one, 7122 Cooper Lane. This person wants to put in a dump. Or if you got all the rocks, it's not easy access to get into the water. So this will have a stairwell going down and also I believe or neighbor a couple houses down. It doesn't appear to be any issues for us conservation wise, but I believe there probably will need more approvals from the EC, maybe Army Corps and Fire State. There's probably some other approvals that need to come in, so I have not turned that into the this year.
I would be concerned about putting a dock on the lake, but
There's quite a few down.
The way they
I'm
do
sure
it,
it's gonna be.
it's up on open piling so that it doesn't, one of the concerns is impeding the flow of the water.
Right.
So it's just up on a big.
FDEC approval.
I just saw one, there was one that was built in Kendall that actually sits into the lake. And I'm like, wow, that's a feat of engineering in my eyes, because I know Lake Ontario in wintertime.
Right, I mean, you can see on the picture, here's some of the supports, and then it's open and more supports. As I said, there's been others, this is one of many that have been put in. And I think a good chunk of it is just to get it over the rocks, as far as distance, because there's substantial erosion protection on this property.
So I just Googled it, picture of it. Yeah, they have a ton of rocks.
So is the length, because it's shallow there and they're trying to get deep enough for the boat, or?
Yeah, I can't answer.
I can't answer that, but it could be, but they also want a lift on both sides. One's for boat, and one's for
Jet
jet
skis.
skis, personal watercraft.
And then to have a stairwell besides, going down the side, you've got to have all of that.
Yeah, it seems like there's a pretty significant lake difference.
Right.
What grade is and what water level is.
But as far as the depth of the water, I don't know what the depth of the water is. Okay, and so those are all the referrals.
I had we just had our Lake Ontario Fishery Advisory Panel meeting this past week. And the DEC, I guess the biggest thing that was mentioned at that meeting was we meet quarterly. Was the DEC has a little bit of a stress that they're dealing with right now, dealing with egg collection because we haven't had rain. So they've actually slowed the Salmon River flows down to almost nothing, like 115, something like that. Normally they're like 250 at this time of year. But they slowed that down just so they're trying to back up a little bit of water. We've actually put in some concrete barriers to pool some water so fish can move freely, and there's a lot of weird things going on right now, but hopefully with the forecast that we see, we're gonna be back to normal here before we do. That was a big thing that they were stressing.
I contacted the highway department, as I've done the last couple of years. Recently, as part of our budget to purchase trees that then they will plant on the town campus. And they said, yes, if it's possible, possibly 6 to 8 trees if we could. Cheryl looked into it for me, and we have $675 in our budget that we could use toward that, which I think is a little less than we think.
What else do we use our budget for our tree giveaway? Is that really good?
So but that would be next year.
And next year's budget, yeah.
I'm just talking in general.
No, sure.
Right. But is that really our
Generally, they would just
expenses?
these two items.
And you said that they've already set aside, this is money that's set aside after everybody's money.
I think it's good for us.
Should we wait until next, can we wait until next month to
For the
vote on
next
it, or do
Because
we
that'll
need
be
to
the
get
end of October, and I think the trees should be
prior?
Right, by October, November would be good.
Right before all that rain.
I think even some years we put them in September, but I'm glad we didn't this year because it's been so dry.
I have to look, because I don't know how many people need more training, but there is something to MRB group, the boot camp training, it's once a month on a Thursday from 6 to 7, and you can sit at home and take care of it and get
It's just
credit.
like a Zoom thing, right?
It's like it's a webinar and it's really great. They want me to send it to you, because I think there's one,
But that would be for this year's?
this year. So we have one for, we have for September, October, November, December, so we have 4 coming. Only 1 hour, it's very easy and it's very informative. I really take them all.
So if anybody needs training.
I'll send it to you in the morning. Okay?
So back to this, do I have a motion to spend
Absolutely, no.
$675 or less for the purchase of some trees?
Do you need to make a motion?
I think we should just so we have it.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I think that's an easy one.
Okay.
One full vote?
Yep. Rob Westcott,
Yes.
Jean Clark,
Yes.
Jerry Whipple,
Yes.
Scott Martin.
Okay, I don't have anything else. So,
Neither do I.
motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Well,